Hi there, welcome to my channel, The Jellyfish Journals. My name is Susie, and recently the Washi Tape Shop reached out and asked if I would be an affiliate with their store. And one of the roles that they sent was one that I'd actually been looking at on their website anyway, so I was very excited and I knew right what I wanted to do with this. So this is the roll that they sent me. This is Mediterranean tiles. Some of the wrinkling is my fault. I have rolled and unrolled this so many times. So some of that is because of me. I've been playing around with it. But look at these beautiful different tiles, and we have not repeated yet. So keep looking. There is a bunch of them. I'm gonna have to do this here. But I just love these muted colors. I love how all these patterns, oops, there's our repeat right there. That tile right there in the middle. I just love how these colors go together so well. I love how the patterns are so different, but they still work. They still look really nice together. And so I have been dabbling, well, not really dabbling, I've been doing it a bunch, with washi tape as a coloring medium. And so I thought I would go ahead and show you some of what I have done with washi tape in my coloring book, and then do a color along with me. It'll be a little sped up because it just takes me a while to color stuff. But I thought it would be kind of cool to show you one of the ways that you can use washi tape in your coloring book. And before I do that, I'll show you some of the other ways that I have used washi tape so far in my coloring book. So this is my second Joanna Basford coloring book. This is World of Flowers. And I decided in this coloring book to get a little more experimental. And so one of those ways was with washi tape. So I've tabbed a few pages here so you don't have to watch me flip through everything. But here's an example. This one took a little while. I just kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say I got tired of using colored pencils or coloring so much. I really just wanted something different. And I had so much washi tape. I've said it before, I will never use all of the washi tape I have. There's just so much of it. And I really hate having things in my stash that aren't being used. So this did take a long time. I like to work while I watch TV shows and movies with my husband. So I usually have this on a little table in my lap, on the couch, and I will just do this while we watch stuff. I am not very good at just doing one thing at a time. And so this is kind of perfect because it's portable, it's small, and it takes a little bit of time. So it lasted a few nights of work. It is a little dirty on the side from another coloring page. Once I finish everything in this book, then I go through and I clean up all the pages. But for the washi tape portion of this, really, I just took a type of washi tape or a patterned washi tape, laid it down on top of the petal, and then used an X-Acto knife very lightly and cut out around the washi tape. Some of it was a little ridiculous, like these little dots here. They do have washi tape in them. I would not do that again. But it was kind of a fun way to make use of these patterns on the washi tape. I did have to re-angle it for every leaf so that it looked right. Some of them have like gold embellishments on them. This one was pineapple washi tape. So you can see the little pineapples on the flower there. This was probably the most time-consuming page I did, and I really do love how it turned out. Again, once I clean it up, it'll look a lot better. The washi tape has stayed down really well. It has not peeled back up, but I did make sure after everything I cut, like when I finished a flower, I would really go back down. The only other thing I did on here that I don't recommend, and I was still learning, because I covered up a lot of the lines with the washi tape, you sort of lost the flower image. So I did go back through with a black Sharpie, a fine point Sharpie, and I traced around all of the petals with the black Sharpie. And you could see through it on the other side. So I ended up coloring this one mostly dark to kind of hide that. So again, I'm learning, I'm figuring it out as I go, but this was one of the ones I have colored with washi tape. Another one I did with washi tape is this one here. I'd seen a lot of people color this page where they did red, orange, yellow, green, and so on, and then the flower was that color. So I thought, what if I did that a little differently with washi tape? And so on this page, boy, that gold is shiny. I took, for example, this pattern here. It's like a teal or aqua with gold polka dots. I put it on the pencil, and then if you follow it up, the flower has some of it, but then there is colored pencil on the flower. This is another good one here. This is like pink, gold, and aqua polka dots, and then you trace it up, and then some of the petals, trying to catch the light, have some of that washi on them as well. This one here is just a gold flower, and so it spawned or spurted out gold flowers from it. So that was a lot of fun. This washi tape was super thin, which made it really easy to fill in the pencils with that. The next one I did was a little bit different. This one, I found this washi tape, and it's hard to tell here, but it is glittery. I'm hoping if I move it around, you can see. There's a little bit of glitter to it. And what I thought I would do for this one is actually just do the background. I saw this spread and I just thought, it was bold enough that a background would look really cool. So I took the washi tape and put it behind the flowers, and I did that first. And then after that, I went back with a black, I want to say a micron. It must have been a black micron. And I went through and I just kind of thickened up all the black lines wherever the washi tape might have covered it a little bit. And then I added some black accents to the flowers. So like you can see here, I just kind of sketched out with the black a little bit. I added black polka dots there. I added some stripes here. And really it was just my way of making the flowers pop even though they were black and white. And so this turned out to be really one of my very favorite spreads. I'm really happy with this, and I love the idea of washi as a background. Another way that I have used washi tape in my coloring book was these flower pots. So all of the flower pots are washi tape. The flowers are all colored pencil, and those are all Crayola colored pencil. But I tried to just have some fun with different patterns of washi tape. So now that I'm looking at it, all of the pots are washi tape and gel pens, just to add some sparkle to it. And you can kind of see what I did here. So this washi tape, if you can see, I'll hold it up again, right here with the blue and the gold dots, that's the same washi tape that I used on this spread for these flowers here. So definitely trying to use up, oops, I lost my page, sorry. Definitely trying to use up a lot of my washi tape. So this one here is the first one I ever did with washi tape. And this was the page that really kind of gave me the idea. I will say a project like this might work better if you do it in stages, because what did end up happening was if I, let's say I cut out this little spot here, this little leaf or petal, I keep calling them leaves. Then I went to cut the next washi. Sometimes when that washi laid over the top, it would lift off what I did there. Some parts, like the edges of these leaves, the outlines were a little bit of a pain in the patootie. And something like this, I had super skinny washi, and it was kind of perfect for those skinny leaves. I really, really like this. You can see the lines from the washi tape because washi tape, is only so thick. But I do have some tape from the washi tape shop now that because you see how thick this roll is, I am super excited to get some more of their washi and try coloring with it, because I think it's going to look a lot cooler if it covers the whole petal. The other thing I really love, which you'll see soon, and it's kind of hard to see here, but this washi is pretty thin and easy to see through. And so that's going to make cutting the lines a lot easier. Some of the washi tape I use, like this one's fine, but this one was a little bit hard to see through to know where to cut my lines. So that was another pain in itself. And I think that's pretty much it. So I am going to go ahead and show you. This is the page that I am planning to do with washi tape. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use these tiles and I'm going to cut the tiles out. I can cut right here on these lines. And my plan is to kind of line these tiles up like a background. So like this is in front of a wall of color. I think what I might do, I don't know. I'm on the fence here because part of me wants to make it go behind the jar, like the jar is see-through. Another part of me doesn't want to do that because that means cutting out around all of these different flowers. So I think what I'm going to do right now, I think I'm going to do the outside background first and then see what I think about that. I do know that if this was a glass jar, you would be able to see through to the back. But I also know that if this was a dome glass jar, whatever was behind it would look a little warped. And these will obviously not look warped in the background. They're going to look just as straight as this. And I think that might throw it off a little. So my current thinking is to just go ahead and do the background. It'll be a really easy, simple way to show you how this works. And then after that, I think I'll probably just make the jar like a gray color, the glass. And then when I add the highlight and everything, I think it'll come out okay. So that is the plan. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the voiceover and you'll see me working. And I don't think I'm going to do any coloring right now, but if you're interested in seeing a color with me or the final colored product, just feel free to drop me a message in the comments and I would be happy to continue filming while I color. All right, let's do this. Okay, so I decided to spare you guys the time-consuming part of me making up my mind on things. I'm not very good at making decisions, and so this part probably took me a good 30 minutes to look through all the tiles. But in the end, I decided I wanted to focus on tiles that had the blues and yellows and little bits of those pinky coral colors. So once I decided on the tiles that I wanted to use, the next step was to kind of center them on the page. I wanted as many full tiles as I could to go across the page, and my thinking was that this domed floral jar would be centered really nicely in the middle of the of all the tiles. So if you notice, there'll be like this slight white border going all the way around, and I am going to tile that as well, but now that border will relatively be the same thickness all the way around, and I think that'll make a little more sense when you see the finished product. So all of my tiles were cut apart on that washi tape strip so that it was easier to move them around and decide which patterns I wanted to go beside each other. So my thinking mainly with that was try to spread out the colors. Some of these, there's my head, yay. Some of these tiles had a lot more yellow to them. Some of the tiles were only blue and white. Some had the pink and blue in them. And so I wanted those colors to kind of be balanced, almost as if somebody, whoever tiled this kitchen or bathroom or wherever this floral dome is, had put thought into balancing the colors behind the dome. So what I did is I just kind of kept moving them around until there was an arrangement of full tiles that I liked. So since these are being centered on the page, these are going to be like the biggest chunks of the tiles that you're going to see. So I wanted to make sure that I was happy with that balance of color. And the next step is to figure out, what am I going to do with these smaller spaces all the way around? Because again, the idea is that this floral dome is sitting in front of a tiled wall in somebody's home or garden or wherever you might have a tiled wall like this. So the tricky part with this now was to kind of figure out for the border, and I'll come back to that in a minute, but just kind of keeping them balanced as I worked on the border. So, what I decided to do was to be as mindful and as unwasteful as I could be. I noticed some of these spots would be a little thicker once I trimmed around the dome. Ooh, there's big thunder outside. I don't know if that's picking up on here, but I'm from South Florida. I love a good thunderstorm, and we don't get them very often out here in Colorado, so it's always happy when we do. Anyway, so I decided I was going to trim the washi away from the flower dome, and any of those thicker tile parts I could use. And so really all you're going to see is that if I cut away from a tile, I'll use it somewhere further away from that same tile. I guess it's easier to say I don't want the same tile touching itself on the wall. Not sure that makes any more sense than what I was saying before, but I'm also trying to be mindful of, for example, if there's too much yellow going on in one spot or too much blue going in one spot. For example, there's that diamond pattern right there. I don't want to use that diamond pattern anywhere else near that diamond pattern. I just don't think it's as pleasing to the eye. And I think if this was in a real home, somebody would have been mindful of that decision if this was going on someone's wall. So I want to be just as mindful with this. Now you'll see I'm kind of all over the place, and this is how I operate. Oh, I forgot to mention too, one of the things that I realized partway through is that when I did the washi on the edges, it kept sticking to my table. So I started sliding the washi tape background underneath it so I could just pull it off and trim, and that worked out much, much better. Anyway, like I was saying, you'll notice I am all over the place, and this is pretty much how I work with anything I do. I will do a little bit of this, and then I get tired of that, so I bounce around to some other part. So I have to say, honest to goodness, the peeling of the washi after you cut it with the X-Acto knife is so satisfying. But again, I was kind of going after these larger chunks of the tile, the washi tape tile, so that I could hopefully reuse it somewhere else. I think mostly my thinking with that, if this was just straight washi tape, for example, if it was like a roll with one pattern on the whole row, I would not be that picky about it. But I didn't want to keep digging through the roll to find the same tiles or similar tiles and then cut those apart. And now I've essentially, shrunk down full tile sizes just for that little strip. So I've been asked before too, how do you not cut through the whole page? And really it just comes with a lot of practice, but it does not take a heavy hand at all to cut through washi. Washi is so remarkably thin that you barely have to drag the X-Acto knife over it for it to give you a nice clean slice. I mentioned earlier in the video, one of my favorite things about this washi is how thin it is. That definitely makes it easier to cut, but also you can see through very easily. So I never had to worry if I was cutting in the line on the lines in the right place. It was just very easy for me to always see right where I needed to trim the washi. For the most part, the dome was really easy to do, which was another reason I chose this page, partly because I thought the background would really stand out nicely behind the dome, but also because the, fussy cutting, fussy trimming, whatever, with the X-Acto knife is super minimal. You basically have these large rounded sides, a pretty straight bottom, and the only tricky part was at the top where it's a little more ornamental and you have this little ring at the top, which I imagine if this was real, you would use to carry the flower dome or hang it off of something. So I did have to dig into a couple of other tiles, which actually worked out really well. If you look towards the top left of the dome, close to where the little circular handle is, that was the only place I used that tile, and it was a lot of blue. And so I decided I was going to pull that in a couple more places just to kind of add a little bit more of that darker blue. I will say also, there was a little bit of concern about those edge pieces peeling off. The best thing I can say for that is keep pushing it down. Try not to touch your washi as much as possible so that the oils on your fingers don't come off onto the washi and make it less sticky. But in all honesty, if it does curl or peel a little bit, because you can see I clearly handle my washi a lot, I just use a little bit of a glue stick and that holds it down. The other thing you might be noticing is that I do use a disc bound system, so I have those holes on the side. I don't show it in this video, but I do go back with an X-Acto knife and trim those off. I have a punch that punches for the discs, so that's how I make these coloring books discable, I guess, if you want, in the first place. But I did not want all the stickiness of the washi tape to get on my punch. And I'm not that proficient with it. I don't use it that often. So really it was no big deal to just sit there and keep watching my movie and cut out those little holes. And there you have the final product. Again, let me know in the comments below if you would like to see a color with me as I finish this product. Have a great day. Bye.